And it's Two Piano Tuesday.
Happy Two Piano Tuesday, everyone. Welcome to our special mini-series, Backstage at Cliburn 2022. And that is the Cliburn International Piano Competition, which takes place in Fort Worth, Texas, every 4 years. It is one of the biggest piano events in the world, the Piano Olympics, we like to call it. And we had the pleasure and the privilege of being the official correspondents throughout the 3 weeks of competition. And it was one of the most exhilarating experiences that we have shared, largely due to the dynamic personalities we met.
Well, the competition had a number of exciting headlines, including Yunshun's amazing performances, Anna being pregnant, there was the war going on. It felt really epic, and amidst some of that, I feel like some of the performances may have gotten lost, and I'm really excited about this episode. It may be my favorite episode, although I have a feeling I'm going to say that for every episode. But these three finalists we're going to feature in today's episode really did an amazing job throughout the competition. And I think, sometimes people tune in at the end and they see just the finals. But what I'm excited about is showing some of the performances that they did earlier in the competition when they weren't as fatigued or exhausted. And you'll really see what stunning, amazing pianists these three finalists are.
That's right. And to clarify, the finalists actually total 6 in number, but only 3 are given medals: gold, silver, bronze. That said, we like to think of competitions as being totally subjective, and a lot of it boils down to not only taste, but just how someone performs in any given moment. And so we think that these 3 men, these young artists, deserve kudos and the spotlight here on Two Piano Tuesday, because not only were they marvelous pianists, but also maybe some of the most delightful personalities that we had the pleasure to experience.
You're really going to see the contrast too among the 3 of them. But why don't we just get started? I'm going to pour myself a Negroni since it's happy hour, and we're going to start watching a vignette about Clayton Stephenson, the 23-year-old pianist from the United States. And I mean, he really was one of the most delightful people to spend time with, and I think you'll see that here in this vignette.
All of my programming, it's just a collection of my favorite pieces that I would love to share with the audience. Similar, like, you hear a new hit on the radio and you're like, I'm going to tell my friend, he's going to love this. I think there's a bit of history with each of the pieces. The Haydn Sonata was actually one of the first Haydn sonatas I've ever learned. And so I remember, when I was 8 years old, struggling to play it and using it to get into Juilliard Pre-College. So it means a lot to me to be able to play the same piece that I used to start my youthful career here at the big stage.
How sweet is he?
With the Brahms First Sonata, he's a young man kind of making his first step into the career of composer, and he's kind of putting a stamp on that. I'm in not the similar shoes that he is, but I kind of empathize with him. Because I'm in my age group, I kind of feel that same excitement that he's feeling.
How are you?
I'm tired. I'm time to take a bath or something. Sorry, right here.
What's with you in the baths? It's all about the bath.
It's like relaxing for me, and I don't know. These pieces were kind of about water as well, so
that's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thinking of the stories like hero and leader, and leaders kind of trying to swim across and try to see leader who's in this kind of lighthouse, and the light goes off, and so he can't see anything and he can't find his way, and he eventually drowns. In response to this, the day after, Hero kind of sees his body wash up on the shore, and just sudden distraughtness, she jumps off the lighthouse and commits suicide. And so there's a lot of that. There's a lot of dark themes in there, but it's also really interesting because Liszt doesn't end it very dark. He ends it with this very beautiful, gorgeous, kind of luscious B major theme. And I feel like, yeah, in a sense, like they kind of reconnect up in heaven, or it's the story of their love that's being transferred across generations, across centuries.
And his playing here is so refined and beautiful.
Sometimes you're so into the music that you forget, what's going on in the world. And this is kind of me, at least tackling for myself what does it mean to kind of live in a time of war and try to delve into what Prokofiev was thinking at the time, the oppression of the USSR. And then I'm playing the Lieberman Gargoyles, which, has been a great piece for me. I just love, trying to think of different gargoyles that he's trying to imitate. And the last movement's almost like an Animal Planet, like a lioness chasing down like a gazelle or something. Firebird and Godowski, these are just pieces that when I first heard them, I was like, oh my God, I had to play them. The Godowski I think he just completely reforms the opera. For the longest time I was thinking, how do I make sure I put all the characters that sing the arias in there? And I realized, it's just Godowski playing around and having fun. And so he's kind of flirting with the audience, having, playing around. He's like, look at what I could do, 3 of the melodies all together, that type of thing.
He plays that piece so well. I'm actually going to pause the video just for a second to highlight that particular performance. It's worth listening to the entire piece online. It's truly spectacular. It's flair fueled and technically assured riveting performance. And in particular, Liz and I have played a number of waltzes throughout our career as a duo, and I just feel like he really gets the feel of a waltz. It's so perfectly stylized, and he's so great at all the effects. Please, it's in his preliminary round. Go check it out. I should try and find the link and throw it in here for you all. But
Yeah, I
it
thought
really is amazing.
I thought Clayton's whole first round just sealed his kind of his dominance in the competition, because he played with such confidence, such charisma, and you can see he's just such a charming person, and that comes across on stage as well. You know, Greg, you and I are such fans of transcriptions, and so I think when we saw that he had this Strauss-Godowski followed after the Stravinsky Augusta
Firebird,
version of the Firebird,
which we're about to listen to some of right now. Yeah.
Like what a great program, because you know it's a little bit kind of more colorful than you might see in a conventional competition program.
Perhaps. So continuing on with the video, this is Clayton Stephenson, the 23-year-old United States pianist competing. He's one of the finalists in the Cliburn competition. This is him talking about some of the repertoire choices throughout the competition for him. And here we're moving on to, as I mentioned, the Firebird. And just as he plays, listen to his great orchestral effects. These opening tremolos just hover in the air.
For the Stravinsky, bringing out all the different orchestral instruments that are in there, because it is, you know, a ballet and also an orchestral piece. I'm just trying to convey all the emotions and all the struggles, all the beauty, all the glory that the composer wrote into the pieces.
I love that you delve into the storytelling, you delve into the historical import of these pieces, and clearly you have a penchant for heroic music. So.
I just love stuff that's very grand, and maybe just it's a part of my personality, my outgoing personality. I just love that stuff.
The audience loves it too. What is harder, playing in the quarterfinals of the Cliburn or a economics final at Harvard?
You know, sometimes when I have like slumps in practicing and I can't get what I'm doing, I'm like, why didn't I just go into economics? This is like 20 times easier, you know? Finding your own voice and where you fit within the world of music is, at least for me, a little bit more difficult. There's no real right answer. There's a lot of economic models that predict something and then it happens or not, and you're like, oh, okay, I'm gonna follow this model. But in classical music and in music in general, you know, something that works for one piece might like completely fall apart for another. And so you're always trying to think about new ways to make these pieces your own and put as much emotion as you can into them.
Do you find that your experience studying at a prestigious university like Harvard, but also working at the piano to this level, do they inform each other?
I think it really helps me in the fact that I'm becoming more of a well-rounded human being. I'm understanding how the world works in terms of economics, but also through music and through art.
And listen to the architecture of his ending. Listen how long he's willing to wait here. It just blows my mind.
Bravo, Clayton.
I know, so good. There's more of Clayton to come, but it's just, I am so impressed by his just ability to see a gazillion notes on the page and to distill them into something so majestic and organized and shaped.
But, he quickly, we just touched upon it, but casually, he happens to be the only contestant that goes to Harvard. And so clearly this is a man of many talents and, a huge mind and curiosity. And, it all does come through his pianism. I mean, it seems like he deeply understands the kind of the motivations behind the compositional contexts and, a lot of the things he's playing is programmatic. There's some sort of narrative, and he seems to get excited and inspired by those stories, and is just a really compelling storyteller at the piano.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. He was also one of the nicest people I've ever met. So while editing together the vignettes for Clayton, I had to throw in a positive vibes with Clayton Stephenson segment, which we'll watch now, and then it'll conclude with a short bit about the concertos in the finals. After which we did not interview him. We interviewed everyone up through the end of the semifinal round, but it'll just touch on what we were particularly excited about there. But here's the positive vibes bit about our amazing Clayton.
This is kind of a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to play on this stage, to play with this, amazing maestro, to play with this orchestra. And so I'm just kind of taking it all in and just living the life. I have to really give a big thanks to my teacher, Miss Bien. She's been working probably 20 times as hard as I have been, just making sure everything's okay. She's calling me every night, making sure I have the right kind of mental images to go into the performances. And so I'm really thankful for her.
Were you anxious about it at all?
I was a little bit before, but I realized that, being anxious and worrying about stuff, only kind of detracts from your performance. And so I kind of went on just enjoying the moment, living in the moment, and, whatever happens, happens. And I'm just very glad that I got this opportunity.
The right mental fortitude for the competitive environment. That takes a lot of strength.
The orchestra sounds amazing, and the conductor maestro Nicholas is so fun to to work with, and he's just so nice. And so one thing that's so special about this competition and this place is the audience's energy is just so inspiring and electric, and you kind of feed off of it. I think I never play this energetic before, but with the audience like behind you, you're like, yeah, let's go, time to do it all.
Now that you've got both semifinal performances in your pocket, how are you going to approach tonight, tomorrow?
Getting into the character and getting into the mind of the composer is more important for me than the notes. And so I'm going to try to be doing a lot of that, listening to Rachmaninoff's music, listening to some amazing Gershwin, if possible.
Gershwin,
we really hope we get to hear you perform Gershwin with Marin.
Well, especially because that piece we rarely get to hear in competitions. And so, we always hear Rachmaninoff and Tchaikovsky and Prokofiev, but Gershwin is going to be such a delight.
This is like kind of the only opportunity to bring a little bit of jazziness and kind of laid backness into the Cliburn competition.
We love all of your comments, everybody. Thank you for tuning in and for being just such wonderful piano fans from all around the world. It's just thrilling to see that we've got Clayton fans out there in the audience. Oh, Greg, we can't hear you.
Thank you. We see we have fans coming in from Mexico City, Mississippi, Singapore, Korea, the Carolinas, San Francisco. Thank you all, Kentucky. Thank you all for joining us. It's really exciting to have this time to kind of revel in our piano madness with all of you.
Yeah, and speaking of all of you tuning in, yeah, I would say you're absolutely right. The Gershwin was totally in his wheelhouse. I was surprised and delighted to see that was going to be one of the final concerti, because you rarely hear Gershwin's concerto in F, and he filled the hall with, his trademark panache, and it didn't feel like a competition. It felt like a party that evening. But Clayton he's a gentleman, he is a scholar, and he clearly is a performer to watch. So Clayton, we are so proud of you. And our history with Clayton goes back actually with our first Cliburn hosting experience was for the junior competition back in 2015, I believe.
Yes.
And that's when we met Clayton, and he left an indelible impression. So happy to see him, thriving in the professional context as well.
Absolutely. Up next, we're gonna talk about another finalist, Uzladzislau Khandohi, whose name sometimes can be a difficult, and he actually, in the program books it said Uzladzislau Khandohi, but in person he went by Vlad, VLAD. So we've just started using Vlad, but that's
yeah. So we're saying Vlad here, but if you look him up later, it's Uzladzislau Khandohi. He is from Belarus, and at the competition he was 20 years old, and just a striking talent. I mean, I remember because Greg and I, you and I were texting each other, and we were immediately struck by just his unique and his almost like Glenn Gouldian kind of passion and intensity at the keyboard. It was just so irresistible.
And I should mention, in making the vignettes about all of these competitors, I had the footage from the performances and our interviews to work with, and the vignettes kind of made themselves. So this is the only one of the three that goes in a chronological order. It starts with its preliminary round, goes to quarterfinal, semifinal, and finals, just to kind of give you some sense of bearing as we go through this. But here is Uzladzislau Khandohi's vignette from the Cliburn, one of our Cliburn finalists.
That was phenomenal. That was so exciting. I'm just speechless. And you're so relaxed right now.
Cool as a cucumber.
You're so calm.
Try to be calm,
You're just
basically. When the hall is bigger, I feel more relaxed. It's like, I understand that I control everything. I'm giving music for the audience. You understand? And it's like, I'm not nervous. Exactly. Yeah.
Sorry. I wanted to pause just quickly to say that this next it's a next excerpt here is a variation from Schumann's symphonic etudes or symphonic variations, and this particular variation is just an unending line of staccato eighth notes. Yet it becomes a marvel in his hands thanks to his graduations or tweaking of articulations and voicings and phrasings. He plays every single note differently, and it turns into magic.
What time does it feel like to you right now?
For me, it's like 4 o'clock a.m. I think, yeah. So maybe I'm so calm, like I want to sleep, I don't know. I had the problem because this drop came into my eye, and I was like doing something like, because I couldn't open my eye. I was playing, you know, the last etude of Schumann, and it was like really crazy.
You're getting used to the 100-degree Fahrenheit weather.
It didn't phase his performance at all. And in fact, that last movement of the symphonic variations was maybe one of the most convincing interpretations I've ever heard, just because he takes it at such a brisk pace and holds kind of the unwieldiness of it together.
What is your formula?
I think maybe I'll play some chess. I don't know, talk to my teacher, parents, I don't know.
So, yeah, we've realized there's a common thread in Vlad's sort of interviews, and that's just how relaxed and chill he is. So much so that I joked that instead of cool hand Luke, it's cool hands Vlad.
It is.
He's just like, I mean, he's on fire on stage, but then off stage, it's like he's the most normal 20-year-old you could ever, he's just, I'm just taking a walk. And
well, at first, when I met him, I couldn't tell if he was joking or serious. And I we had 4 interviews with him, and by the end, I realized he's just actually that calm, and he has a magnificent sense of humor about it all. He's able to kind of remove himself from the chaos and the fray of the competition with this unusual demeanor.
Yeah, but he plays with 200% commitment.
Exactly. That's why it's so confusing. So continuing on our vignette here we go.
So you said your jet lag is gone. How did you spend the day today? Did you practice?
Today, yeah, I practiced. Yesterday I went to a baseball game for the first time. Yesterday. I went to the baseball game, and I liked it really much. Yeah, it's like I didn't know the rules even, but my friend explained it to me.
And I'm impressed you managed to take a day off. Prokofiev's music clearly suits you. How did you come across this piece? What inspired you to learn it?
I basically like music by Prokofiev. So it's like you see, I play in the first round 4 etudes by Prokofiev. I played. So now I play the 6th sonata. And on previous competition, Ikvan, he played the 6th sonata, and it inspired me to play this.
Was Yekwan Sanwu's performance 5 years ago one of the first times you had heard the sonata? Because you were only 15 then, right?
Yeah. It's like I didn't know good, really, music by Prokofiev.
And This is Yekwon Sunwoo, the gold medalist of the 2017 edition.
Faster! Sorry.
Get right in front of this bag, put your heels up against this.
I must stay on it.
No.
Just like this.
It's to prevent you from walking backwards.
Now you have a two-headed monster instead of just Greg. So. Bravo, Uzladzislau. You gave such a thrilling performance of Mozart's Ninth Piano Concerto. How are you feeling?
I don't know. I feel just a little bit tired after that, and I want to sleep. And yeah, that's all. I think, yeah.
When he said that to us, my heart just melted for him.
Well, you saw my face. I was like,
Yeah. Oh.
Are you starting with the Gaspard de la Nuit?
Yeah, like a bit.
'Cause that's famously challenging to start with because the piano, you need extreme control.
It's like it's just about practice. I think it's like I practiced, so.
Nothing phases Uzladzislau.
I practiced, so like just all the things that like I worry about as a pianist just doesn't face him at all. This is amazing, by the way.
Well, it's just I tried to put all my emotions into all my thinking into music, like, and give it to the audience again. And it's like this the only purpose I have when I am on stage.
just a commanding performance. How are you feeling right now?
I feel a little bit exhausted, tired, because it's like I gave all the emotions and I feel empty a bit, so something like that. You know, I really like American people, and because they are all friendly, I mean, in the hall, it's like always standing ovations. Like I not nowhere saw it. It's like it's crazy. I mean.
His face here. Look, he's like, what you can see, he's just like almost like out of place, trying to come out of the world of that Rachmaninoff, and suddenly have people screaming at you. It's like a weird juxtaposition to be in, for being the most vulnerable to like the most exposed.
And he's right. The Fort Worth audience, and especially the Cliburn audience, is so warm, and they just embrace you. But, you know, they're also discerning. So they're not just giving standing ovations, you know, for no reason. As you can see, he is able to elicit goosebumps with his playing because he's just so immersed in it. And, you know, just the amount of kind of maturity and commitment that he brings is, you know, it's just fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, when he talked about being emotionally empty after that, I really did believe him. Like,
yes.
I mean, he really did put it all on the
It was
stage.
visceral.
Yeah. And then he was talking to us right afterwards, and I was like, oh my goodness, how are you alive?
Yeah, it's so funny because kind of watching it back, because we're in the moment, and so we're so excited to talk to them, but now watching it sort of removed from the competition, I actually feel sort of sorry that we're bombarding them right after they walk off stage, because when you give that much and it's in this high stress environment, sometimes the last thing you want to do is to be interviewed. So thank you, gentlemen, for dealing with our questions.
That's totally true. There's a tiny bit more to the vignette, just a showcase of his final round. Here it is.
Can you tell us how you selected the concertos you plan to play?
You know, I really love Chopin. That's why I chose the first one. And I played it many times, and I really like it. The second Rachmaninoff is like everyone's favorite concerto. I mean, it's like I really love to play it too. So,
have you performed these concertos with orchestra before?
Yeah, I think Rachmaninoff I played maybe more than 20 times. I think.
Whoa! Okay, you'll be just fine. Gorgeous playing from Uzladzislau Khandohi. We affectionately call him Vlad, but please check him out. He, we believe, has a bright future ahead, is a brilliant talent, and just a really classy guy, very reserved off stage, but full of fire on.
Absolutely. Really, really fabulous. I mean, all three of these, and you'll continue to see it next. And then, of course, we have 3 more episodes after this devoted to author Fabulous Pianist. Just a lot of fabulous piano playing. Lulu, this is my cat Wallace. There's a second one named Wilbur. if I were to block Wallace from this room, we'd have far bigger problems. I've learned with this particular cat, he gets to be where he wants to be, and that's usually my lap, including when I practice. He'll sit on my shoulders or on the bench. And
Wallace has also been a part of our music videos, making of situations. So he has FOMO. He needs to be a part of the artistry and the action.
he certainly does. So up next, we have Ilya Shmukler.
Yes, Ilya Shmukler is from Russia, and I have to say he left such a striking impression, not only with his just his outstanding pianism, but just his infectious personality. I mean, I feel like we could have spent literally like an hour just interviewing him about non-piano stuff. It's just, he's a vibrant personality.
He was very lovable and passionate, and we were always talking to him when he was massively sweaty. He often had a surprising train of thoughts during the interviews, and we just kind of get sidetracked, and you'll see that throughout his vignette. But this is Ilya Shmukler, the Russian pianist. It was his second actually time competing in the Cliburn. The first time he made it to the semifinals. This time he made it to the finals.
27-year-old from Russia.
So much energy on stage. How did you do that?
Practicing, I don't know, something came out of me. I was totally concentrated. I wanted to be totally inside music. I need to give all what I have inside me, in my heart, in my soul, so to bring it to audience. My goal, I mean, in general, to become music itself, so to be part of music and to bring that feeling to the audience.
What sort of pianists really excite you?
I was a huge fan of Vladimir Horowitz at the age of 14, and he brought me into piano music world, and I listened almost everything, even unreleased recording. I created a community in social media where I uploaded illegally sometimes.
Favorite director? Directors?
Many, from Charles Spencer Chaplin till I don't know, even Lars von Trier, still nowadays Mikhail Haneke. So
You like the dark ones.
yeah. You see me? I love dark. For me, first two rounds are, I think, the one big circle at the beginning of 20th century music. Some Debussy, some Mettner, Scriabin, all of this. I love this period, not only in music, but in literature and in art, in painters.
He's just so passionate. He created a whole like Horowitz community. I mean, I love this guy.
Are you going to broach away from the early 20th century for the next round, by any chance?
Yeah. So I applied two huge masterpieces. Yeah, Brahms' Variations in Fugue on a Theme by Handel, one of my favorite pieces, and Prokofiev 8. Like a Titanic, non-stop. It comes closer and closer, and finally, the last variation is like, I mean, like real apocalypse. And after that, the most inspiring which Brahms did is that after that he writes a fugue like a survivor, what we should do in that, what intellectual work we should do to survive our world and human beings. So this is what for me now Brahms, and that's why I put Brahms Variations with Prokofiev 8. So this is quite the same theme for me.
And I'm just going to clarify for our audience. So he's playing the Brahms Haydn Variations, which are in B flat, and they're basically a half-hour-long piece. He's going to follow another half-hour-long piece, Prokofiev's 8th Piano Sonata, which is also in B flat. There are universal themes between the two of them. I was worried this program wouldn't work, but I thought it was fabulous in effect.
Two B flat major things. Yeah, a lot of B flat.
So we'll have like the real emphasis of B flat, B flat, B flat, B flat, and then Prokofiev.
Okay, and now listen to how familiar the key of B flat major feels after the Brahms, yet how different it sounds in the hands of Prokofiev. I'm gonna pause this vignette briefly. I was so impressed. We heard the 8th Prokofiev Piano Sonata 4 times throughout the competition, and it was programmed differently every time. But I remember hearing it after the Brahms Haydn Variation, and kind of the foreignness of Prokofiev's musical landscape felt so much more grounded, having just been performed immediately after the Brahms Haydn Variations. And I just really do want to commend him on the thoughtful programming there.
Yeah, and it's also a testament to his forceful artistry. You know, there's a kind of generosity of spirit that he brings to his playing, and this big picture thinking. You know, I have to say, people like Ilya tend to be kindred spirits for us, because we also love, you know, the visual arts and films. And, you know, when he was talking about Lars von Trier and Haneke and Charlie Chaplin, you know, like, clearly this is a person who is just so inquisitive, and he's inspired by things beyond, you know, he's not just locking himself in a practice room, he's living life, and he's applying, you know, all those artistic inspirations to his playing. And so I think what struck me was when he was at the competition, it didn't really look like he was this like careful competition pianist, but he was just, you know, he was like, here I am, I'm Ilya, this is what I love, and this is, you know, kind of my very commanding and convincing sort of statements, artistic statements that I'm bringing to the stage. So, you know, it's playing like a real artist.
Well, and this next clip is really going to give you a taste of who Ilya is, and I'm really excited to share it. We're going to jump to the end of the Prokofiev Sonata, watch him play the end, and then cut immediately to him walking off stage and joining us for an interview. And I want you to listen for what he chooses to talk about in that moment. And we will continue. Here we go.
Bravo, Ilya! Woo! Woo, woo, woo. You get to cool off now.
Right now we can just go right in front here.
You're just like Rocky Balboa. You're just-
Especially in the coda.
Oh yeah, that was killer. It was awesome. Bravo, Ilya. That was a powerhouse semifinal performance. You gave so much heart and intensity in two epic works of the repertoire. How are you feeling? You literally just stepped off the stage.
Well, I prepared for the semifinal and I thought that my solo program is only the half of the semifinal because tomorrow Mozart Concerto is waiting for me. Because you can play Prokofiev, you can play whatever you want, you can play Brahms, but Mozart is what is waiting for you in the bushes.
Yeah, Mozart might be maybe the most intimidating, right?
Yeah. And I play Mozart 20, and of course, all imaginations about Requiem, about Don Giovanni, and well, the key, of course, yeah. So, I hope we'll have fun. Well, it with D minor, but it is ending with D major. So.
I'm just so struck by the level of commitment you just had in that performance, and the first thing you want to talk about is what's happening next. It's like you've moved on.
That's about the competition, you can prepare, you go on stage, and after you finish, you go further. You're preparing for the next performance. There is no time to think about how was that, and I mean, what was good, what you need to make more beautiful and more. I wanted to play this phrase more beautifully and more intonation in that. No time for that. No time.
Good attitude in life. Just keep moving forward.
Yeah, keep moving forward.
And here he is performing the Mozart D minor piano concerto, and it's worth noting that he received the jury award for the best performance of a Mozart piano concerto.
You'd mentioned that you were a bit anxious about the Mozart concerto because you feel so vulnerable on stage. You didn't give us that impression. Were you like squirming inside? How did that feel?
No, I think I was prepared. So yeah, because that's Cliburn. You have to be prepared for that. I still remember that moment in the second movement, the second subject. That was the thing when the time stops, and I think we enjoyed that moment.
Song and dance routine with Ilya Shmukler.
We understand you are a dancer.
Yeah. One.
Oh yes. Man, I wish I could take some classes from you.
Yeah, it was many years ago when I was 10 years old. That's all which I remember.
Well, I don't know if you noticed, but Ilya managed to give another fabulous performance. He got an award for the performance of that Mozart concerto, and then walked off stage and proceeded to talk about anything but the Mozart concerto.
I mean, it's actually, as I said in the interview, it's a good attitude in life, but also in a competition, because musicians tend to be almost like too reflective, it's like we're kind of hitting ourselves over the head, like, oh, I wish I did that better, or that didn't go the way I really intended, or that I idealized in my head. And so in a way, you can kind of make yourself too neurotic in a competition setting if you're constantly analyzing what just happened. And I think he's sort of like, okay, like that's over, that's out of the way. Now I'm going to, think about the next phase.
Well, the next phase was his final round. I'm going to just play the brief vignette about
I
his
have to
final
ask,
round.
if you get to the next round, will you be performing one of the Brahms concertos?
I know, by the way you talked about
Yeah.
it.
Rock 3.
Similarly epic.
This was the cadenza that Yunchang did not
And
play.
what
in fact.
else?
It was the bigger,
Greek.
longer one. Greek.
Yes.
Oh, I love
Yeah. And nobody plays Greek on competitions. Yeah, and I love it.
Yay.
Yes, there were 3 rock threes in the finals, right?
Yes.
But only one Grieg. We had, Clayton's Gershwin, Vlad's Chopin 1, and then Grieg, that always has a special place in my heart. I remember when I was a little kid, that was like my dream concerto. And it felt really grand to hear it on the Cliburn stage. But, it was just such a privilege and a joy to talk to these 3 young men. We have so much more footage, but those were highlights from our interviews with them. And, we are so excited to watch where they go in the world after this. We believe that each one has such a distinctive artistic personality and voice and passions, and that they each have a really exciting future music ahead.
Absolutely. And again, it's worth checking out their performances. They're on the Cliburn's YouTube page. We brought some of the highlights, but they gave wonderful performances throughout the competition, all worth looking into. Before we sign off for today, we're going to show you a short vignette about Bass Hall. It's also going to serve as a teaser for our next live stream, Backstage at Cliburn 22, which is going to be in 2 weeks, because for the next 2 weeks, Liz and I are on tour.
Yeah, someone asked earlier what was on my piano, and it's the Mozart Piano Sonata for 2 pianos, which is on our program. So Greg and I are not merely 2 Piano Tuesday hosts, but also touring pianists.
Yes. So if you live in Wisconsin, please join us there. I think Green Bay and Milwaukee. And then I'm doing a benefit concert for my old high school orchestra in Minnesota. And then we're going to perform at the Herbst Theater in San Francisco all over the next 2 weeks. But we will be back after that to do 3 consecutive runs of this show, each devoted to one of the medalists. So in 2 weeks, we'll look at Dmytro Choni, and I believe we'll even have a new updated interview with him for that presentation. I'm really looking forward to it, and he's featured in this vignette about Bass Hall, which I need to pull up.
And Bass Hall is the big venue that the semis and final rounds take place. It is one of the most stunning venues we've ever seen.
It really is.
I actually am very happy to get to play in this hall because I was, as I maybe told you, I was following the previous editions of the competition, and they were in this hall, and so I'm kind of, I'm kind of very happy that I made it here.
When you're going backstage and you hear the breath of people sitting in the hall, oh my God.
It was a really nice hall, actually. And then the acoustics and then the lights and like some kind of purple lights. Is that right? Okay, I'm beyond somewhere. Yeah.
To be honest, I love this hall more than when Cliburn Hall in TCU, because like when the hall is bigger, I feel more relaxed.
I had a great time before I sat down, just scanning and looking at the hall and just taking it all in. I remember when in the junior competition they gave us like a little tour. I was like, wow, that's a great stage. And so now I finally, get to play on it.
And that was Dmytro Chony, bronze medalist, who we are going to highlight in 2 weeks. You want to join us? I think it's April 25th, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes, let me check my calendar. April 25th, we will do a show dedicated to bronze medalist Dmytro Chony. The following week, May 2nd, we will look at Anna Genyushene, who is a silver medalist. And then we will close this mini-series on May 9th and feature the gold medalist Yunchan Lim. So there's a lot of exciting content, fantastic artistry, and just never before seen moments that you won't want to miss.
We look forward to seeing you. Thank you so much for joining us today, and have a lovely rest of your day.
Yes, happy spring.